Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another very exciting Star Wars video. So, my mind is blown. We have confirmation and photos. There was originally going to be an Order 66 flashback to Jod's Jedi Master in Skeleton Crew Episode 8, but it was cut in the final edit. And we know this from the actress who played Jod's Master herself, who took to Instagram with proof. Photos of her in her Jedi outfit, training montages. It is absolutely insane. So Jod's Jedi Master, who we spoke about in the final episode, was originally played not by Hayley Webb, as IMDb suggested, which we spoke about, but an American-French dancer-actress, Yasmin Al-Masri, and I have to say she looks absolutely amazing in the role, very prequel trilogy-esque. Look at this photo, she looks right out of Revenge of the Sith. And when you scroll through her photos and her videos which show the training sequences, you can tell the level of physicality and dedication that she put into this performance. So just like us, she was gutted, her scene was cut, and she says this: "This was the shortest acting job I ever did, but the most meaningful to the child in me. Playing a Jedi for one scene in Skeleton Crew. I gave a speech when the crew wrapped on set. The scene unfortunately didn't make it to the final cut because these things happen. But I cannot not share my experience and feelings." And then she implies in the flashback there was a younger version of Jod. So what we know is this Jedi survived the initial wave of Order 66, but was later hunted down, maybe by an Inquisitor. But despite what Chris Ford and John Watts recently said when they were adamant there wasn't a flashback, there was clearly so much left on the cutting room floor. And not just with this scene. This series had so many reshoots. I think there were a handful of sequences cut from the final episode, and if they ever decide to do a physical release, I would love to see those scenes as bonus content. And funnily enough, my dear friends, after this information emerged, the showrunners addressed a big question. Was Jod found by the Jedi before, during, or after Order 66? And Chris Ford responded this: "It's supposed to be post-Order 66, Jedis trying to survive out of time." So like I say, she survived the initial purge, but was later hunted down by clones or Inquisitors, and before we say, well, we'll never know, we might do. They did film the scene, but it was cut. They need to release this as a bonus extra on the Blu-ray. Or better yet, put it in the extras section on Disney+, or repurpose it for Season 2. We don't know if we're getting a behind-the-scenes documentary like a Disney Gallery sort of thing for Skeleton Crew, but with all of the deleted scenes, I'm sure a lot of us would love to see it. And it looks like from one of the videos that she posted, we see a training sequence between the Jedi Master and Jod, a young Jod with a lightsaber. And you guys remember when Jude Law said, you find out in episode 7 his backstory and why he has the Force. I wonder if they showed him this flashback, because we all watched episode 7 and he decapitates SM-33, but we never learnt too much about his backstory until episode 8. And while he explains it to Wim, I wonder if Jude was shown a version of Skeleton Crew with the flashback included. And then I wonder, was it fully polished, fully edited, post-production, visual effects, everything? Or was it quite primitive, and they decided to leave it out? And you know I'm a bit torn about this, because the finale works just fine without a flashback. Some have said in my comments and elsewhere on the internet, it would have kind of ruined the episode, broken its pace. It might have been unnecessary fan service. But now I'm very curious, knowing they originally had this planned. This was going to be in the final version. They had a costume made for her. They trained her, she did a full fight scene, she had a lightsaber, they did her hair, her makeup. I'm kind of curious to see it, aren't you guys? But I saw this and I was so excited to jump on and talk about it with you guys. I feel bad for the actress, she has a lot of passion for Star Wars, she gave a lot to this performance, but like she says, these things happen, and she's taken the circumstance like an absolute champ. Just matter of fact, I was originally going to be in this thing. Here are some photos, here is some of my workout routine and my training, and you know what, it just wasn't meant to be. But she seems like a lovely person, and she seems very grateful for the experience. Kudos to her. I don't know what her Jedi name would have been. Like I said, originally there was a listing on IMDb for a Jedi Master Nina Narwood, and that would have explained that Jod didn't have a last name and took it from his master. But whoever posted that original listing mistook this actress with Hayley Webb. Perhaps Hayley originally auditioned for the role. I would love to know your thoughts though. And among the million things I loved about Skeleton Crew, I love the references and Easter eggs, be they visual or verbal, to other periods of the Skywalker saga. This might take place during the New Republic, but the prequel trilogy certainly got a lot of love. It's quite impressive the amount of times the show did reference episodes 1, 2, and 3. There were a couple of other allusions to the Great Jedi Purge. Jod quotes Qui-Gon Jinn a couple of times. There were some visual references with a lightsaber. And one of my favourites from the finale, did you catch what Fern says to her mum? Everywhere we went, even the worst places, there were good people too, people that can help us. This line directly parallels what Anakin says to his mum in The Phantom Menace. You've always said, the biggest problem in this universe is that nobody helps each other. So in a way Fern was paying this off, proving that despite the evil in the galaxy, despite the darkness that traumatized the likes of Jod, those few morally upstanding people who do the right thing, step in to help those in need, are the ones who make the world a better place. And so finally, staying on the subject of Skeleton Crew, the showrunners and creators also confirm a huge connection, which I did theorize and suspect, and mentioned in my episode breakdown for the first 2 episodes, that Attin and the Great Work is indeed tied to Chancellor Lina Soh of the High Republic. And while the High Republic is a bit stigmatizing, while it's got its fans, it also has its detractors. Personally for me guys, that time period doesn't interest me as much as the prequel trilogy, The Age of the New Republic, and even going all the way back to the Old Republic, especially as someone who grew up reading the Expanded Universe books. The Bane trilogy is still one of my favourites, but when it comes to the High Republic, connections like this are great, because they're subtle nods. They reward fans who read certain books, but they're not essential to understand the gist of a show that takes place hundreds of years after that time period. But you can go and check out those books if you want. But the showrunners do confirm the Great Work is directly connected to the projects of Lina Soh. Again, this is something maybe Pablo Hidalgo or other members of the Lucasfilm story group decided to throw in as a reference, but they don't mean much to the show itself. It kind of reminds me of all the Easter eggs in Luthen's Gallery in Andor Season 1. They had no bearing on the show itself, but they were interesting to identify, and if you recognize them, you can do the Leonardo DiCaprio pointing meme. I'm just being silly, my dear friends. Skeleton Crew was filmed quite a while ago. It was pre-Acolyte, so Lucasfilm didn't know how fans were going to react to it. But I have to wonder, given reception to the Leslie Headland show, are Lucasfilm going to be more hesitant to throw in more High Republic references in future content? But with that said guys, those are some of the latest massive reveals. I was gobsmacked. But what do you guys think? Would you have preferred a version of episode 8 with the flashback? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed my coverage, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new. We are so close to 140,000 subscribers. We would be honoured if you would join us. And may the Force be with you, always.